What is going on, everyone? I am D Venom, and thank you guys for joining me in regard to addiction and recovery. Damn, I was trying to add some background music, but I did a little bit of research in regard to adding music and stuff like that on Podbean and whatever. So, I'm going to, definitely put a little bit of more effort into the platform, a lot more than what I have been, but I've been spreading energies all over the place, including my new job and the energies that I'm putting into these side projects or whatever are positive. I'd rather put energy into positive things versus negative things. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me in regard to addiction and recovery. Any amount of your guys' positive energy shown on not just this platform, but all platforms are always welcomed. Thank you guys for this 6,891 hearts. I really do appreciate that. And I'm still at a level 2, which is fine. But let's try to increase those numbers. And it's still January. So I said by March, we should be up to about 7,000, a little over 7,000. Before I continue on, I would like to apologize to you guys because the last few times that I came on here, I will admit you guys, that I fell off the bandwagon and I ended up relapsing. You guys should know what to look for when I come on my platform and be talking gibberish and doing all type of, I don't want to say crazy shit, but, just yeah, but anyway, like the ASMR thing, I had just watched the ASMR video, and you guys know that sometimes I create ASMR videos, and ASMR is one of those things that I feel saved my life. Like I said, one of those things that saved my life, from addiction or whatever. And from time to time, I like to play around or whatever. Don't get me wrong, addiction and recovery can be a serious topic that can be very triggering. So I like to merge off of that sometime and do other things, in order to, increase my own damn vibrations. But, I don't know what date it was. I have it on my calendar. Hold on one second. Let me go to my calendar. So I don't know if my battery is dead in regard to my headphones or what, but can you guys still hear me? Because my Bluetooth, not my Bluetooth, but my Bluetooth headphones just cut off when I was trying to see how many, when I was trying to see when I relapsed. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can turn them back on. Okay, thank you, Carla, for answering that question. Let me see if I can get these headphones back on. Sorry, you guys. Okay, there we go. Well, I know not to leave the live chat, just keep my ass here. But anyway, sometime last week, I think around the 17th or something like that. Let me see what's today's date. The it's the 19th. Maybe the 16th, 15th. Either way it goes, I ended up, falling off the bandwagon, and it was my own conscious decision to relapse, unfortunately. And I was near my home in a pavilion area, and I seen a scallywag, and I already knew that, either they had methamphetamine or they knew where to get it. And I had asked them, if they knew where to get, I said G, which is pretty much methamphetamine in street term, and they didn't. They knew where to get it, but they was waiting on someone to come pick them up, and they had a pipe with a little bit of stuff in there, and I bought the pipe for, $5, and that's when I ended up relapsing. And like I said, I made the conscious decision to do this, and I knew what I was doing. Yeah. Um, you know, even though I have to start those numbers all over again, because had I not relapsed, I would have been 30 days clean as of, it's on my calendar, but either that date would have been coming up or I've already surpassed it. But either way, I would have been 30 days clean. I would have been past that, but there's been a few relapses in between. But I'm not beating myself up for it. In fact, I'm not loving myself for relapsing or anything like that, but I have to continue to love myself regardless of the point. A lot of us addicts have beat ourselves to the ground in regard to relapsing and having to start the, process all over again. I've heard guys in 12 step, that have relapsed, and they were really down on themselves, and they were calling themselves like losers and so many words and whatever else. And I've never really had that type of self-destructive talk in regard to my relapses, but I have been pretty down on myself about shit, and I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I know that Satan's uh influence and temptation can be very, very, very strong, and even the best of them that have surpassed 200 damn days or whatever of sobriety still can fall victim to relapse. And I'm no different, but I will say, and this is why I am live tonight, and I want to not share these particular endeavors or whatever as bragging, but I want to share them as encouragement to those addicts out there that don't think that it can happen or can't happen when it can happen. I remember during my not my last relapse, but I remember when I obtained my peer support certificate, which was October 20th of 2022. I do believe that I was, going through relapses during that particular phase, but I still obtained my peer support certificate. I did not allow relapse to take away from me. And just like in this situation, I know that I made the conscious decision to buy that pipe off of that individual. I made the conscious decision to put flame underneath that damn pipe, twist it back and forth, and, blow, inhale the cloud. Yeah, y'all know how it goes. If you don't, yeah. But anyway, that's what I decided to do. And, y'all know what comes next, in regard to, when the methamphetamine kicks in, and, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, during that phase of relapse, I still managed to obtain my CPI certificate. I don't have it in hand yet because the money is not free. I had to pay, I think, $75 for this damn course. But either way it goes, and not to, say anything, but yeah, well, y'all don't know what corporation I'm working for, but, they're reimbursing me that $75, cause I wasn't going to do it, but, they really wanted me to be a part of this organization or whatever. And so I went ahead and paid for the class. And so they're going to reimburse it, back to me. But anyway, I obtained my CPI certificate. CPI child. I got the book in my backpack. CPI, damn, prevention something. I have to anyway, I'm just going to keep these headphones on. I don't know what's going on with my Bluetooth. Obviously, my Bluetooth speaker. Obviously, they need to be charged. Anyway, CPI, certified something. I'll look it up, you guys. I should know it, but anyway. But in a nutshell, I am a certified BHT, which is a behavior health technician, and like I said, through phases of relapse, I still managed to obtain this certificate. And basically, I am working with youth between the ages of 18 and 11, but primarily 14 and 14 and 17 at the most. I'm sorry, you guys. I will admit, when I first went into the situation, considering what I've heard in regards to these, young adolescent males, I went in with ratchet thoughts. I won't lie. And plus I was relapsing on top of that. So y'all already know what methamphetamine does to me. So to hear the stories in regard to some of these young men, yes, I had ratchet ass thoughts. But as time went on, hold on one second, you guys. Carla says something. Carla Harvey, you guys, she just responded. She said the brain alone healing time without nutrients is no less than a year. 12 steps works for 8% and I just relapsed. Oh, Carla, let me go ahead and follow you, girl. I like a person that keeps it real and stands in their power and aren't afraid to admit that they've done wrong and anyway, so you said, let me read it all over again. The brain alone healing time without nutrients is no less than a year. 12 steps works for 8% and I just relapsed, but God, I went 7 months this year. God let me know I haven't forgiven me. I haven't forgiven me. I don't love me. I am really ugly at myself in the mind. I know I can't drink or I'll smoke. I need to connect and build long-term relationships. Carla, once again, I commend you for standing in your power and, not necessarily speaking your truth here on live call or whatever, but you're still speaking your truth through the chat here, verbally. Not verbally, but in written form. You said, "I'm here to hold myself accountable and not high anymore." Okay, excellent. All right, I'll go ahead and allow you, allow you to come in. Excuse me, you guys. Um, Hold on one second. We're going to allow Carla to join the platform so she can tell her story and don't have to, tell it in written form. And okay, here we go. All right, Carla, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to unplug my microphone, so hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I wanted to talk to you about you need to connect and build long-term relationships. Now, I'm not sure if you're talking about long-term relationships in regard to AA, CMA, or, SA, or, any of those groups, but I find it, I don't I went in thinking that those organizations, are cults. And then I had a change of heart. And then I started to reverse that change of heart. And it's weird. I've exchanged numbers with a lot of those individuals only for me to connect with them and them not reach back out to me. Like tonight, I ran across someone that I exchanged numbers with, and every time I see them, it's some lame excuse. Oh, well, my phone, blah 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 blah. And they asked me for my number again tonight, and it's just like, why are people asking me for my number in these particular groups? And when I reach out to them, they don't reach. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that going to 12 step?
Yeah, I recently just transitioned out of a sober living house for women and children in the little town I'm at. And it was my first time ever going to anything like that. But I had made a promise to myself that I would put myself in new experiences that are way outside of my comfort zone and elements so that I can, again, accountability and take this seriously because enough is enough. I've really had enough.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah.
started deep diving research on, further than what rehab treatment centers, if you ever had CPS, the programs that they make you do for educational purposes, in their recovery programs. And then, I went to AA for the first time, and in all of them, I see a huge lack. There is a significant gap in the programs with long-term sustainability and treatment and coping skills and in-home treatment.
I can kind of see where
Because
you're coming from. I'm sorry. Keep going.
yeah, no, you're good. When you go to any one of those, it's a short program. It's very short-lived. And if
Mm-hmm.
you go to AA, yeah, it's long-term. However, in 3 months, I went through 3 sponsors. I
Mm.
saw 4 girls relapse. It was very triggering, very, very stressful, and I mean, it was a culture shock. But I'm one of those deep thinkers, and I try and observe as much as possible because that's just where I'm at in my life. I'm just like, man, what about just the reality of it? If I have a problem, I go somewhere to get help. They give me what they can for a month, maybe 2, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then they send me back right to the same environment without any support, without any in-home coping skills, without any nothing. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And up
And
to from
and you said
78
it
to
best.
98% relapse
Mm-hmm.
because they're alone.
Mm-hmm.
Humans were not meant to be alone. Families are just fed up. They're exhausted. They don't understand. And it's
Yeah.
like AA gets stuck on, I'm in recovery. I'm sober. Well, are you an alcoholic? Well, I'm a recovered alcoholic. No, you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Either you're healed or you're not. So even that program has its flaws. They
And
say
so many
higher
people,
power and it still doesn't work. It's like, no, I know
and
there's one
so
thing that works. But
And I'm sorry, but so many people rely on it. You know, when I go to these 12 steps, it's just like, oh, I thank the 12 step meetings for saving my life. And hey, more power to these 12 step meetings for saving lives. I'd rather see them save lives than, see
but
lives,
they have no
taken.
identity. It's the program before them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So they're stuck behind it. They have no authenticity, healing, overcoming. You know what I mean? They're nothing. They're stuck. They
Mm-hmm.
hide behind it and they're miserable.
And you know what? You are definitely right because a lot of individuals that I see in these 12-step meetings, they are miserable. Their heads are down. And even, like I said, even through my times of relapse, I still pick myself up and I keep going. I, earn those certificates and whatever else the case may be. I'm just not going to allow myself to be knocked down and not get back up and fight. But I
I
don't
gotta
know.
look at the root. What's the root? That's all I know. Like, I've only come to one conclusion with evidence, with, that I've tested, and it was 15 years of Bible research and testing out that whole, I'll say, genre, but lo and behold, he's legit. Like, he's good. He teaches you a moral compass in his Bible. Like, there's so many good things and wise things and moral things that give instructions in that particular set of books. It's like a library on how to live as a good human being, per se,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I apply that knowledge to AA and to what I'm battling with right now, and what's the root? I know God in the Bible goes straight to the root. He doesn't beat around a bush. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He goes, all right, you're struggling with addiction. Your root is forgiveness. You can
Mm-hmm.
forgive everybody else. It took you a long time, but you've forgiven everybody else. Your mom who let all that happen to you, your dad who ended, all these other things in my past. And it's true. And I was only made aware earlier tonight, after a
Mm-hmm.
recent relapse, that I have not forgiven me of what I've done
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Can you say that again? Now, I was going to ask you about that. How do you feel about those 12 steps? And how do you feel about, I think it's the fifth step, making amends with, everybody else that you harm? But what I say is, a lot of people harmed us during our addictions. They knew that our heads were foggy, with alcohol or drugs or whatever. And they, play mind games with us, but they never apologized for their actions. But we're supposed to go to them and apologize. But what about apologizing to God first, for one thing, and then apologizing to ourselves for damaging our mind, body, and spirit? And then if we want to make the amends with those individuals that we harmed or whatever the case may be, then we can do that. But you said it best, making that amends with your own damn self.
Yeah, see, the first step was acknowledging, Christ is king, and then going to God and apologizing. Like, I'm sorry. I denied that you ever had a son and that you sent him here to die for me and carry all the sins of mine that I'm totally guilty of, which I am now acknowledging, that I spit on the cross and said, F you, Christ. I'm sorry, God, forgive me. And mean it. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
That was step one. Step two, many, many years of plunging, plunging out all those clogs and blockages on my entire existence up until that point that I gave my life to Christ. And it takes time. I was raped. We were poor.
Sorry to hear.
God, it was intense. It was a horrible custody battle. I mean, it was nonstop. Helping one of my parents shoot up. I mean, I've seen things. It has been very eventful, to say the least. But I'm no different than nobody else. You know what I mean? And pain is pain. There's no separation in the level of it. Pain is pain. It hurts. Period. That's it.
Oh, it sure does.
So,
It sure does.
getting to the root, forgiveness. Now, one, ask God for forgiveness, acknowledge your sin. Two, forgive those who have harmed you without any knowledge if they'll ever receive you to be forgiven. They may not want to hear you.
Exactly. And depending on
You
the
may never
level of
have the
hurt that you've
opportunity.
done, and depending on depending on the level of hurt that you've done under the influence that you may or may not remember,
Right.
it could be something detrimental that would definitely end the friendship.
Yeah, because they may not be on the same part of their journey or path, if ever. Or maybe they are. But the point of forgiveness isn't for them. Mostly. It's for you. It's for you to muster up the courage to face your fear you've been running from, yet carrying like bondage this entire time. The guilt, the shame, the pride, the envy, the ego, the turmoil, the torture, the torment, the misery, the agony, the hate. You go to them as they will witness for you as God's watching. So this is your act before God of sincerity. God, I love you and I respect you enough and I fear you enough that I will muster up the courage to turn around and face my fear. And I will go before one of your other children and I will be held accountable. Yes, my time shared with them had some influence over them. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to own up to it. And as you do this process, you start to feel relief because it starts to come off of you. And you have to be prepared for the response. They may be like, what if you... Da, da, da. They may be like, okay. Or they may be like, oh, thank God, I'm so sorry. And they may have a moment of forgiveness too. So you both bear witness and God watches. That's a true forgiveness. It's a three-parter. And it's the relief that comes. I can't put in words how wonderful it is after years and years and years of it just piling up and confusing me. But
I guess I could say liberating. It's just like a bunch of weight lifted off of your shoulders. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
immensely. My mind cleared up. My memories lined up. There wasn't a fog anymore. I was more certain of myself. I've never been closer to who I am authentically with an identity that I'm certain of without a doubt, with no fear, than I am today. Even though I relapsed very recently.
But you know what? I've learned a lot about myself through my drug addiction, and unfortunately, it took drug addiction for me to dive deep into myself and what my purpose is, here on Earth and whatever else the case may be.
Yeah,
But
same
I'm
here.
kind of glad that I guess it did happen because there's so many people wandering this world that don't know anything about themselves, and they're trying to find their purpose or whatever. And yeah, it's sad, but yeah.
Yeah, but God didn't come to judge. He came for the sinners and he came for mercy. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We are the ones who are overly qualified in God's book because we've fucked up the most. We've suffered the most. Like, he didn't pick saints and prodigals and priests when he came down. He picked a 12-pack of murderers, thieves, and, like, he picked the worst of the worst, and he's like, these are my disciples. What?
Mm-hmm. Prostitutes, yes.
Yeah. Like, the worst of the worst that man would view through their eyes in their flesh were the
Mm-hmm.
ones that were highly qualified in the eyes of God because he knew how he could use them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
Mm-hmm.
whole discovery of the identity. Like, I didn't know that this year I would be graduating after attending 6 universities.
Oh, well, excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's taken 15 years.
But wait, this is my whole point of doing this show tonight. Listen to Carla, listen to myself. Well, you don't have to, but I encourage you guys to. We're both addicts. We both have our own, different choice of addiction or whatever, but we're still making progress through our relapse or whatever. She's, about to graduate. I, earned my certificate. I'm about to get ready on the 22nd to go to suicide prevention classes. So after I complete that, hopefully I will be working the 988 National Suicide Prevention number or whatever. So it's just like we're making major changes, through relapse, and that's major for addicts.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm encouraging a relapse. However, if you go without, and you're dead serious about it, if there's a moment where you need to test yourself to realize and remind yourself, hey, I'm going to reaffirm that I am so done with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm on this phone right now. I'm like, no, shoot, dial me in, because I've got to hold myself accountable even more so. Because I'm fed up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to love on me. I want to know what that's like. I want to forgive myself. Never done it before. And I shouldn't be terrified of it. I'm anxious. I'm shaky. I know it's going to hurt at first
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of blame when you're, molested as a child that you blame yourself. You don't know any better. The adults say
Mm-hmm.
this is fine. Keep it a secret. Then the other adults find out and they're like, don't be lying. And, like turmoil. It's just chaos. I'm a child. My innocence was taken from me, but God got it back when I gave my life to him, and I had a beautiful brief season where I got to live with the innocence of a child. Like, everything in the world just seemed brighter.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much giddy inside of giddy for me, nah. But sure enough, there was. There was so much good flowing out of it. But what I'm saying is this: I had to get wholeheartedly and making my mind up and decide, you know what? I'm not going to tiptoe around this addiction. If I'm going to do it, then I'm fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's how
Because
I
someone
felt
had told
because
me that if you need to get out, you need to go in.
mm-hmm.
If you need to get out of yourself, you have to go into yourself. You want to go
Oh
up,
yeah.
first you got to start down and build.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're too high, well, you got to go higher so you can come down. It's just the opposite of what you would think. And sure enough, it worked for me. I've heard it works for a few others, but
Well, a lot of people are afraid to face their shadow, regardless if they're regardless if they're dealing with addiction or not. Facing the shadow or the ego and trying to merge it with your higher self, which will make you pretty much reach enlightenment, and that's what I'm focusing on right now. Merging my ego and my shadow with my higher self. It's going to take a while for me to reach enlightenment because I have a lot, more experience and whatever else to go through. But I don't know why a lot of people are just afraid of themselves these days. I just the beauty of knowing yourself is so free, because no one can tell you anything about you because you know who you are because you took taking that time out to dive deep, like you said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, they don't teach you growing up in curriculum learning that self-identity is, the way to live. It's quite the opposite. They don't prepare you for that. They don't want you to think. But
Oh, now that you said something, my
I
addiction.
heard recently, and hear me out on this. This guy was saying all of those negatives that you think about yourself, identify them like the ego that's been running with you your whole life. Look at it as you as a child. That's your ego version of yourself. Love it. Love her or him. That's you. And the moment you can decide to do that and actually start visualizing it, thinking about it, that's just you as a freaking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old with a lot of ego. Just pure ego. But you're a child.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of has put some things into perspective for me. So my anger, my pride, my lust, my vanity, my doubting, my, curiosity, all of it. My happiness, my joy, my peace, all of it. There's 12 different versions of me, all around the same age. Each one of them has their own, like that In-N-Out movie, or what was it? That animated movie was kind of, there was joy and all that.
There's so many different animated
Sadness.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it
I'm
a
reminded
Disney?
of that. I don't, maybe Pixar or one of those animated films, but I think it's called Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead character, her name is Riley, and they go up inside her brain, and she's got like all her emotions up there from when she's born until she's coming of age.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a coming of age story. Well, that's where I'm at. It's a coming of age story. I don't want to live like this with these old ways of thinking. It's just, I'm outgrowing it. The shoes don't fit anymore. They're worn out. I need some new ones.
You may be on I can't say, but you could be on the same path as me and another chosen one that that I'm friends with. But, my addiction woke me up to two words, and that's socialized conditioning. And
Amen.
when I looked into that on YouTube, I was pissed off, and then I was pissed off. But now that I learned the truth, I'm set free because I kind of somewhat snatched my life back from all of that shit. I'm still, confined and conditioned to a degree, but now that I know, I pretty much taken myself back from that. But it's kind of like what you said. This whole American dream bullshit is just a dream. America is full of bullshit. We're
Not
about
even. It's
status.
brainwashing. It's
Yes,
brainwashing.
yes, yes. And in
It's
Eastern
making you into a
countries,
herd.
hmm
Like a bunch. Yeah.
and like for instance, who said women have to wear lashes in order to?
Hello?
You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
All I know is you've got fingerprints, right? I've got
Oh yeah.
fingerprints. As far as we know, I don't believe, and don't quote me on this, but no two are alike, right?
Hmm.
So I look at it like that's an insignia. That's a signature of how unique, specific, tailored, one of a kind, rare that I am, that you are, that anybody else is. Who am I to have any allowance ever again in my thinking now that I'm aware about what others think, what they judge, and vice versa, what I think and what I judge. I shouldn't be judging.
But
So right
man has done
now,
this from the beginning, and that's the unfortunate thing. God created us to be free, but man wanted us to be controlled, and that's unfortunately there's a lot of control with social media, the influence of legalized marijuana. There's just so much influence in the world, and distractions.
yeah, but you know what's wonderful? What trumps all of that? Time. Inevitably, time will reveal all. You have
Mm-hmm.
enough negative, it will run through numerous amounts of math equations, yada, 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 and it comes to one conclusion, the common denominator. And it's one truth. The absolute truth is what all of existence is about. Getting to the finish line, to the one absolute truth that's undeniable, indisputable, fully acknowledgeable because we will all know. We will all see it. There's no denying it. And when there's no doubt in a body, in a mind, in a soul, in a heart, guess what? There's no room for fear because you know. When you know, you know. You're certain. When you're certain, you're at peace. You're fearless because
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely certain. You have a belief. You can't fuck with beliefs.
No, you sure can't.
That's why, you know, we all have a bit of narcissism in us, right? As a categorized bits of character, you know, for fight or flight. Some people wear a little bit more. Some people have been through a lot, you know, that however they deal with their trauma is how they deal with it. And for however long, I'm not to mind that or judge it. You know, my ex was abusive and a narcissist. I've already made peace with it. I hope one day I get to have a moment with him and ask for forgiveness because I was a bit narcissist too at times. And he needs to know that because I believe that the heart in him freaking hurts.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, who exposed me for me getting molested, she was a single mom of 5 kids in the middle of the desert. We were poor. She was an
Mm-hmm.
adopted orphan. Her heart still hurts. She's still an alcoholic. I
I'm
would like
sorry
an
to hear that.
opportunity to go to her and let her know that I forgive her. The truth. That because of everything that I've been exposed to and experienced, because I didn't give up, because there's still hope in me, even when I felt hopeless, the heart never gave up on the hope. It just hurt.
Yeah.
So I think that's what pulled me through everything and has started to grow is don't give up your hope. You'll die.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and your faith. At least
Yeah,
with
when
me.
you
Hmm.
when you run, my daughter's singing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it was definitely hope and definitely faith with me, to that helped me get through.
Yeah. Yeah, when I ran out of faith and didn't know it, all I had was hope. And I was running thin on it. I got
Mm.
suicidal and all this other stuff. Put myself in horrible situations where I wanted, I wanted to die because at least all of it would just be quiet. It'd be so much better. There wouldn't be so much noise.
So we think, we don't know what will happen once we take our own lives. It may not be such a
I
pretty
was
picture.
ignorant. I didn't know no better. And that's another thing I think that saved my ass was being ignorant. I wasn't raised up in a church or nothing like that. I didn't have a family to be supportive and have that kind of bonding. I think humans were built to bond,
Hmm.
because those
Yeah.
bonds are what last. Those bonds are what create memories. Those bonds are what pull us through. You know what I mean? Even when
Hmm.
we're on our own.
Most people don't honor them these days, which is really sad.
Well, the number of systems that are set up, mind you, that divide, separate, take away,
Hmm.
subtract, rather than add and multiply.
Hmm. Which is very true. I still say the government is trying to kill us off little by little, because in other countries, like for instance, I think it's in England or something, they dye their food or they dye certain things using like natural, so like beet juice and carrot juice or whatever. Here we're using blue number 515, it's just like, what is all what is this stuff that we're putting in our food, versus other countries that are, yeah. So the US, yeah, is very, very, how can I say it? Just not trustworthy.
Dude, you know what I think? I
Yeah.
think that whatever it is out there that we can't quite put our finger on it in the usual sense, like I can't see it in the whole. I can't look at it with my eyeballs necessarily, but I can see the aftermath of it,
Mm-hmm.
or the repercussions, or, the cause and effect. But I think that whatever out there that's in the world, has some authority over it because it has some influence, which has an effect, which we can all clearly see. But it truly has no authority, like, ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
to create. It can manipulate, it can dilute, dissect, replicate, but it can never authenticate an original and put
That
a
sounds
stamp
like
on it.
that sounds like Satan and these demons, because from what I understand, that he
And
will
so
soon be. Hmm.
what governments and systems and humans are kind of wearing right now, that we can all see, and it's just like, especially in America right now, it just seems like people are starting to get fed up. But
Hmm.
that was inevitable because enough of not good running around for a certain amount of time, it'll hit a wall. There's no more allowance. It's run out of room, time, resources. That's it. It's expendable. It's maxed
Hmm.
out. There's no respawn. That's it.
Hmm.
But I feel like we're on the approach to the time when things are just gonna fall apart, explode, utter chaos, and then all of a sudden, boom, sudden peace, because that's all that's left. That's all that's left.
I don't know. This world is just, I know the vibrations of the universe is definitely lowering, and that's a shame, that it's lowering at a rapid rate that it is, due to a lot of the shit that goes on in the world, the crime and whatever else, the drugs. I work in a facility where I, dealing with youth between the ages of 11 and 17, and to hear them talk about using fentanyl and stuff like that, and thinking that is something
But
to
why
play
are they
with.
using it? But why are they using it?
It could be the parents, it could be, parental influence, but just to hear them talk about that and being in the environment that they're in, it's like, you have so much life and so much, to offer, and you're here.
But they know that, or they did, and being so aware and so not, I don't want to say overly sensitive, but built with a capacity to experience more, like having a golden heart or a big heart, those catchphrases,
Hmm.
that particular body has a little bit extra room inside of them, and they feel things with a hypersensitivity. So when that particular person gets abused, it's 9 times increased inside of them. There's no relief. It's not the drug that's not the problem, that's their solution for
Hmm.
relief,
Hmm.
because they can't get it anywhere else.
Right, right.
Not that it's an answer, not, it's not what they teach you it's about, per se.
Well, I don't think they teach us anything good about, street drugs or anything like that. They just want us to use them and get hooked and addicted and whatever else the case may be, and not use our brains.
I think they figured out at some point that their target has a weakness, a flaw, if you will. It could get easily distracted with this. tool to delay their progress, their process, their transformation, their growth, the meaning in which they were put on this planet to do something impactful that would take it away from what condition and state it's in now into something elevated, brighter, lighter, whatever, better, gooder, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I really appreciate the unfolding when doing research and documenting it biblically. I've done other researches too, but this book in particular is just got a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, that's a good thing to educate your own self, have your own receipts, because anyone can tell you anything. There's a lot of false prophets out there, including with the churches and some of everything else. So,
I've met them, I've seen them, I've heard them. Shoot, I had a season where things came out of my mouth. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it's just a part of the process. At the end of it, I would learn. I'm like, oh, now I can recognize it. That's what we're designed to feel our feelings for. Like, anger is anger, right?
mm-hmm.
And it has a certain set of this, a certain set of heightened this, lessen that. It's very specific. It's strictly anger. Now, if you go through something that makes you or gives the allowance for anger, don't delay it. Don't block it, and don't let it go halfway through and then hang on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still angry. And if you hold on to it, guess what? It's still angry.
Yeah.
You're still holding on to it years later. It's still angry.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, when it can't get out, it'll turn on you. Then it becomes depression because you're beating on yourself. You're angry at yourself. That's where I'm at. It's coming out of depression to anger so I can do what I didn't do a long time ago. I was angry very young because I knew something was wrong. But I had no power because I was a child. And nobody would listen to me. So I'm coming up out of it in the reverse motion. So it was years of depression and stuff like that. I mean, I was diagnosed with all this other stuff. I've been unsymptomatic and they can't diagnose me for over 3 years now with what they diagnosed me with 20 years ago. I've had blood diseases, 2 of them, completely dormant. Incurable blood diseases, dormant.
Well,
it doesn't happen.
That's a good thing. That's a blessing.
Yeah, but it's a part of the process. If you keep seeking, you'll find answers. So don't ever give up on your hope. It's not about the addiction. It's about the heart that needed some kind of relief, that it would resort to a last desperate measure, no matter the cost or the consequence. Because to the heart's pain, it was worth it temporarily.
Yeah.
And that's where,
Yeah, I think about my last relapse. That could have been my last relapse, considering a lot of crystal methamphetamine is laced with fentanyl. So I could not be behind this microphone today if I would have got a shiesty bag. So thank God I did not get a shiesty bag, and I'm still here. But I've heard a lot of people. Matter of fact, you said you were in sober living. I think you said earlier, and during the holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, I heard in 12-step a lot of individuals that signed themselves out of like their group homes or whatever, and they relapsed, and now they're not here anymore. So a lot of individuals that are addicts did not make it to their 2026.
Right, because if they're in a sober living home, you've got multiple people. What do you need, sweetheart? Oh, because you're trying to do parental controls. That's not going to work. I'm parent. You're not. Here, take that. No. What do you want, sweetie? So if you go to sober living, it's multiple rooms, multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got guidelines, 0 tolerance, you can't relapse, and everybody is like an arm's length away, okay? So everybody can technically be held accountable for the most part. You step out of that environment and go back into any other environment, there's going to be temptations. And if you don't have that arm's length of somebody up at your neck saying, well, you're going to get kicked out. There's zero tolerance here. And they go out back into the world and they don't have that, I'll call it support or witness or somebody to snitch on them, then who's to know? Yes, they're going to relapse. They need somebody to support them while they're out there. Like,
so much to hold them accountable. Now, I heard you say earlier about the sponsors. Now, I haven't done the 12 steps yet, and I still haven't found a sponsor. And I don't think that I'm going to get a sponsor at this particular point. But, you know, I've heard some stories in regard to people that have been a part of like AA or whatever for years, and they reached out to their sponsors only for their sponsors not to get back in contact with them. Some sponsors have relapsed and died. It's just a lot going on with these damn sponsors. Now, how do you feel about these sponsors? Do you honestly think that a person needs a sponsor?
it depends on the person, where they're at. You know, sometimes it works. Sometimes, a lot of times it doesn't. I just think it boils down to what's in the heart of the man. What do you, honey? What do you want?
I want to go.
And that's another thing that I want to say. You know, a lot of people in your situation that are parents, you know, they usually don't have their children. So for you to, you know, have your child, you know, and you know, going through addiction and you know, whatever, that's commendable because, you know, like I said, a lot of parents don't have their children.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, I've had 4, you know. My most recent was a twin, lost one. When I got pregnant with her, I lost my son, you know, and I have an eldest. Okay, hang on a second. Yeah, come here.
Here are some results about. My most recent was a twin lost one.
Okay.
When I got pregnant with her, I lost my son.
You caught my whole voice here.
No!
What do you want? What do you want?
Here are some results about CM.
What do you want, baby? You gotta tell me.
Please.
I don't understand. That's not how this works.
No.
Mm-mm. You want the good news, guys?
No.
Yeah?
No.
You want fireworks?
Mm-hmm.
You want? Okay, I'll get you fireworks. You want ABC fireworks?
It's right here.
There you go. You did it. Good job.
It's loud.
Yes, it is.
It's loud.
Turn it on.
It's loud.
Mm-hmm. Here.
Hey, it's down.
I'm almost done, sweetie. Okay. You've been very good. I appreciate you.
No,
Thank you. I love you.
How old is she or he?
She's 3. She's my youngest.
Oh, okay.
And she's you know, she's on the spectrum, and she's she's energy consuming. So a lot of the times I'm drained. But she's very she's something else in a good way. And I'm gonna have to sign off. I need to give her some loving and yeah, she needs some attention right now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carla, for joining.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow you, man. You can follow me, and you know, hit me up sometime, and we'll have a part 2.
Okay, perfect.
And thank you so much for letting me clear the air and everything and participate. It's very appreciated, and it helps significantly. Thank you.
No problem, Carla.
Alrighty, hon. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, morning.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, you guys, hold on. Let me plug in my microphone. Okay, that is exactly what it is about in regards to this platform. Even though I may merge off the straight and narrow and relapse and do all of that crazy shit, hopefully you guys can still hear me. I do believe you can. But anyway, even though I may merge off the straight and narrow and do my thing or whatever, the universe brings forward individuals at the right time. You know what I mean? I wasn't planning on being on here, this late, considering I have, things to do in the morning. But, Carla came at the right time and, she was about the niche and, she wasn't afraid to, stand in her power and speak her truth in regard to, her relapse and whatever the case may be. And that's, I'm not the relapse or anything is absolutely beautiful, but the fact that, she's unafraid to speak her story of addiction as encouragement for other individuals, no different than me. Is we're using our lives as vessels in order to help other individuals. And we're both freshly relapsed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how many days or weeks or whatever they're in, but I am 6 days in. Soon to be 7. And I'm knocking on wood, even though there's no wood in this damn car. It will be, I'm just going to speak it into existence. There will be no more motherfucking relapses, but I, I can only speak that into existence and hope that it won't, and pray that it won't happen. But as long as I give the battle up to, the universe and or the invisible, I am good. At this particular point, I keep wanting to have control of my addiction and I think that I can do it by myself, but I know that I can't. I know that, with the tinge of help from man, like 12 step and things like that, things are, thank you, Carla. Carla, she just followed me. I appreciate you, Carla. I do know that with the help of man or whatever the case may be, things can, possibilities can happen in regard to sobriety and stuff like that. But as you guys know, I really don't have too much trust when it comes to man. I know that the spirit realm has been, well, let me rephrase. I know that the spirit realm was created before any of us, before any of all, before any of this. Why would I go to man first for my answers when I can get that guidance and whatever else from the universe, which I have it in the form of angelic numbers, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know because I've told y'all. But me surrendering my battle of addiction to the invisible pretty much opened the doors for 12 step and whatever else. Like I just said, and just like Carla expressed, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but, I'm not steering anyone from 12 step. You guys know because I created an episode in regard to my feelings and, geared towards 12 step. Like tonight, I went to a 12 step meeting because I felt like I needed to take my ass to a 12 step, after that, last little relapse or whatever. It's been a while since I've been a 12 step. Plus, I, have been working. I am a independent contractor. Matter of fact, let me go back a little bit. So as encouragement, not to brag, but like I told you guys, as encouragement, as I was going through my relapse or whatever, I had obtained my CPI certificate. The certificate was not cheap. I had to pay about $75 for that damn certificate. It will last me a year. And basically, this certificate has opened the doors for me to, basically, this certificate has opened the doors for me to work in various, organizations and or institutes and or businesses or whatever that involves certain behaviors. Anyway, in a nutshell, I have become a certified behavior health technician. So that's what the CPI course was all about. So I can work with children of autistic backgrounds. Just the doors are open in regard to being a behavioral health technician, but there are some, how can I say it, red flags. You're working with individuals that are fresh out of jail and or prison, that have attitudes and they're pissed off with the court system and some of everything else. They're angry. You are working with individuals that, have sex crimes and things of that particular nature. You're just working with various different behaviors and you are trained to redirect in case of an argument or a fight. For instance, in the organization that I work for, which is primarily teens, thank God, I didn't have to necessarily get physical and break up a fight, but I did get verbal and, that amongst other staff kind of broke that little session up or whatever. But this is also a test in regard to my own behavior, because like I said, before, Carla and I got into a conversation. If I didn't say it, I went into this, relapse, off of methamphetamine. And you guys know when I deal with methamphetamine, it causes, the libido to increase a little bit too much. And the stories that I was hearing about these horny little teenagers or whatever the case may be. Yes, it turned me on. And, I started having ratchet ass thoughts, but then along the way, it wasn't first of all, source did not put me in this particular situation to, uh, 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 corrupt these young men's minds no more than what they've already been corrupted. Considering, the world, considering parental influence, considering the influence from their friends, considering the influence from TV. These kids were already influenced before they got into this particular situation, but they don't need the influence of me coming in there, being all horny or whatever the case may be and trying to, work them for a piece of dick or whatever. I mean, they getting that on their own behind closed doors, anyway, not to be telling too much, but, now that I'm starting to get to know the young men and seeing them in a whole different light, they have potential. They bad as fuck. I'm not going to take that from them. They are bad as fuck. And a lot of them have gotten complacent in regard to that organization that they're in being their home. And I hate to see them like that, because a lot of them are in there for, yeah. But they have a similar background to mine, maybe not the same drug of choice, but, they were, abusing fentanyl, some of them, and some of them, know about methamphetamine and they know, you know what I'm saying? They know. And, it's sad, because a lot of their lives or a great majority of their life has been taken away via Satan and his drugs and whatever the case may be, and his and or his influence. So to see them pretty much caged up like animals, don't get me wrong, they do have a level of freedom, but still, it's not the freedom that a 14, 15 or 16, 17-year old or 18-year old should have. They should be living amongst this world, I hate to say it, a part of the world. They should be of it, but not a part of it. But anyway, they need to be free like teenagers, are supposed to be. And, yeah. So, in close encounters like that, just like a prison or whatever, there's going to be, some sexual stuff going on. Somebody may see a booty that's plump and they may, anyway, y'all know how it goes down. I may run in or I may open up the door and see some activity amongst these males and I have to conduct myself in a professional manner and not get out of bounds my own damn self. Because this is the possibility that this could happen. It is the possibility that this could happen, being a BHT and working amongst individuals that have certain backgrounds, so to speak. Um, uh, 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 let's just say triple X, but probably child quadruple X backgrounds, and they're only teenagers. Just put it. I mean, yeah. But anyway, they're horned up and whatever else the case may be. So they fucking and sucking and doing whatever else. But another reason why I think Source put me in this particular environment, like with other situations, he has opened my eyes up to a lot of perversion, and I don't know why. I know why Satan probably put me in this situation, but Satan did not put me in this situation. Source gave me this job. You know, there's a certain amount of abundance per hour. You know, Satan did not do that. If it was left up to him, yeah. But you know, he do want me to get involved with the perversion aspect of it all in regard to these, you know, young men. He do want me to do that. But aside from that, Source put me in the situation to use my spiritual eyes to see what's really going on behind closed doors. And not to tell too much, but I have seen some inappropriate behavior amongst staff and these young men. And I walked in on the situation, and there were it was a staff member, male, and there was a teenage boy, I'll say about um 15, 16, somewhere around there. And I was getting ready to enter into where they were, and they were too busy playing, hands below the waist. And anyway, I used, you know, whatever I used in order to open up the door and get to the other side. And when they heard the click of that door open up, that's when they hurried up and I mean, when I say they quickly separated, bitch, they separated. Okay. And I'm like, if nothing were happening that should not be happening, then y'all wouldn't have separated that quickly. But obviously, you being a adult in the situation of a certain background, meaning, you know, I mean, I don't know what they are, if they're BHT or, you know, whatever the case may be, but you have a certain background in order to how can I say it? You come from a certain background in regard to conducting yourself in a professional manner. So I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. For one, why are there so many females walking through the hallways of where these boys sleep at and whatever else the case may be? And I don't I don't try to how can I say it? I don't try to be invasive. Now at night, you know, we have to keep our eyes on them because they fucking and sucking and doing, y'all. I'm telling y'all, they do the most. They masturbating, they doing the most, and they do it in front of staff. But anyway, a lot of these staff, they don't have no problem just barging into in these these young men's room. And I honestly think that they do this because they want to see some shit. That's why I honestly think they do it. But I would crack the door open. I would peep my head in, you know, and let that be the reason. If their doors are open, you know, I would, you know, peep in, you know, because yeah, and some of them sleep, you know, anyway. But for the most part, it can go down. It can go down in the shower. It can go down, you know, at night. It can go down. And, you know, we are to keep our eyes on this type of, you know, behavior. And, you know, if I were to come across some activity such as what I just mentioned, I have to conduct myself in a professional manner and not get carried away myself. I could just, but once again, keeping it real, I do believe that staff have had some sexual activity with some of these young men. I do believe that not hardcore drugs, but maybe marijuana or something like that has been snuck in for these young men. They get too much leeway for y'all to have y'all asses in there for certain behavior and whatever else the case may be. They get appraised a little bit too much. You know, they're not working for snacks, so to speak, or free time or whatever, or an hour in the game room. You know, they're just pretty much free willingly handed this type of stuff. And I mean, how is it that you're promoting and appraising bad behavior versus appraising good. Uh, anyway, I'm just there to work and um, possibly redirect these young men um, to a better life and better decisions moving forward. I'm not there to control anything or whatever the case may be, and more or less get involved in sexual activity and none of that shit. If I see it, I see it. If I have to report it, I'll report it. And I get graphic with it and whatever else the case may be. But yeah, I could just imagine, but no, back to the females. Now, there are ample women that walk the floors where the boys be at. And it kind of reminds me of when I was at Cass Homeless Shelter. There were plenty of females that would come through the men's dorm area, knowing that these men be in the showers, they're masturbating, they doing some of everything, fucking and whatever else. But these women are over there. Now, had they got raped and whatever the case may be, then what would happen? So it's no different than this situation. There is a bunch of women that walk the floor of the boys, and these women know that these boys are in there. They sleeping with hard dicks. They fucking. They like I said, they doing the most. And a lot of these boys, from me standing back, looking at shit, a lot of these boys be working them girls, and these girls know that these women, or not girls, but these women know that these boys be working their asses. And but anyway, I believe that yes, it goes down with staff and these kids. I do believe that it does, and and I wouldn't doubt if anyway. I'm bound to see some shit being a BHT and working in these boys' group homes and shit like that. I'm bound to see some shit. And I'm not saying that I'm waiting to see anything, but I'm bound to see some shit. And I, as a professional in this field, have to conduct myself in a timely manner. Who's to say I may be dealing with somebody that just got fresh out of prison and they may want to get some of my boy coochie? I'm going to have to contain myself in I'm not a timely manner, not a timely manner, but a professional manner. I mean, this motherfucker could be fine as hell, tattoos and some of everything. Big Pete, child, y'all know how I get down. But anyway, they could have all that meat, whatever the case may be. And I will still have to conduct myself in a professional manner and not give in to the temptations of Satan, because that's Satan all day long working through flesh. And I have to, not give into I have to avoid the flesh. But anyway, um, with that being said, yes, I obtained my CPI certificate, and I will get it once I pay that money, which will come out of my paycheck. And I will have my card. So I obtained that through relapse and whatever else the case may be. And after the 22nd, I will go to that CPR prevention course. I do believe that we will obtain a certificate or whatever. Even if we don't, I will still have under my belt the knowledge of knowing how to uh, prevent someone from wanting to commit suicide. But I'm hoping, which I should have asked, and I still have time to ask before the actual classes, are we going to obtain something? And if we do, then that means I basically have both feet in the door, and I can, work at one of the facilities in regard to being a national 988 suicide preventional. I made up the word, or I'm making up the word preventionalist, and let that be the reason. And then after that, I will work obtaining my Zen meditation slash self-care course. And once I obtain that, like I told you guys, that certificate is good overseas and internationally and nationally. So, these are all stories of encouragement, no different than Carla with her story of encouragement. Addicts are doing big things. We're not just sitting around suffering from relapse and whatever the case may be. We're dealing with it and we're pushing through, and we're still going forth in regard to our dreams and whatever else the case may be. She's getting ready to graduate from, what she told you guys. I, just got my certificate in regard to being the CPI, and I'm moving on to, other things other endeavors, other accomplishments, excuse me. And this is all being an addict. And so if I can do these things, and if Carla can do these things, and if other addicts can do these things, then why can't you guys? Some of you all choose to remain in your situations, and that's your problem. That's what you want to do. But there are other individuals out there that really do want the help, but they don't know how to go about getting it, more or less the strength and the courage to move forward. And there's people such as myself, Carla, and other individuals, like Miss Mo, who has a platform here on Podbean. We're here to guide them individuals that are lost. We're here to guide y'all lost individuals to the found. You know what I'm saying? To the found area, so that y'all can be claimed or reclaimed again. But anyway, I need to get home so that I can get some rest, because I have to get up in the morning and take care of apartment bullshit, landlords, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh my God. I need to meditate. That's what I really need to do. But I really did enjoy myself tonight with you guys, and with my conversation with Carla. And I guess 12 step was okay. Remember I told you guys that I had to, cuss somebody out at a 12 step meeting. Well, I had to cuss two people out at a 12 step meeting for basically looking into my inventory instead of worrying about their own motherfucking inventory. Well, I seen one of the men that were there that night, and we didn't say nothing to each other. I mean, that's fine with me. But they were there at tonight's meeting. But the good thing is this particular app that's called The Meeting, that's centered around different meetings across the valley. Not just here. I think this app it works for all over the country, if I'm not mistaken. You just basically turn on your GPS or whatever, and then you allow it to upload a whole bunch of different meetings in your area. And not surprisingly, but this particular app brought up a hell of a lot of meetings, more meetings than how can I say it? It brought up additional meetings to the ones that I, attend and or deny. I have this thing called the pipeline, and the pipeline basically shows you all of the meetings that's throughout the valley. But this particular app that I'm talking about shows you even more motherfucking meetings. I went to one courtesy of that particular app, and I never been there before. Child, it was a van, not a van, it was vans full of men and a handful of women that was at this particular meeting. And I don't know, it was intimidating, so I decided not to. Plus I had a phone call. Well, I made a phone call, so I decided not to go to that particular meeting. It looked kind of bikerish. No, not that that's an issue, but yeah, it just looked like it was a little bit too much. But anyway, I went to my primary meeting tonight, which is at the Lambda, center here in my hometown of Arizona. Oh my God. Excuse me. Oh, with that being said, I bitch is going to go home and get some rest, get up in the morning, and maybe I will have an assignment in regard to working for these bad little kids. And well, not kids, not grown men, but yeah. Anyway, young men. Just put it that way, young men. But anyway. My mouth is dry, some of every motherfucking thing else. All right, you guys. I'm going to end this. And as I said earlier, take those stories in regard to myself and Carla and use those as encouragement, my addicts and or the non. If I can not battle, but if I can go through addiction and still obtain a certificate that opens doors for me in regard to helping other individuals that have a similar background or come from troubled backgrounds. That's amazing. Um, um, it's not amazing that I went through it's not amazing that I had to go through the relapse or whatever, but it's amazing that I obtained that certificate during that particular phase, because y'all know me. I'm not worried about, the books and whatever the case may be. I'm worried about porn and dick and whatever else. But I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about obtaining that. But well, shit, I was spent $70 on the hell. Yeah, I was worried about obtaining that damn certificate. But anyway, it's just about accomplishing whether or not you've been knocked down or not. You can still accomplish while you're on the motherfucking ground and accomplish even more when you get up. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to end this. Thank you all for listening. Again, thank you for the 6,891 hearts. We are nearly almost there in regard to 7,000 hearts. I do believe that we will get there before March. Before March. And anyway, let's try to bump me up to a level 3. I know that it's not all up to you guys. It's up to me as well to put in the work to get us at a level 3. But as of right now, we're doing pretty good. Level 2 and 6,000. Let's say almost 6,900 hearts. All right, you guys. With that being said, I am D Venom. Happy sober living. Thank you, Carla, for your testimony here tonight. And namaste.